Welcome to Between Two Pastries, a not-so-typical nutrition podcast. Nicole and Annie are licensed and registered dietitians. Join them as they discuss hot nutrition topics, challenge popular beliefs, and have a blast doing it. Here are your hosts, Nicole and Annie.
Welcome to Between Two Pastries. This is Nicole.
Hey everyone, it's Annie.
Today we have the one and only Miss Abby Langer joining us yet again. Third pod with us. Thank you, Abby, because we love you so much. And I happen to have just stumbled upon sometimes like some of your stuff pops up in like my feed and what have you, or sometimes I'll just kind of, I'm not stalking you, I promise. But on the occasion, like something will pop up with you and it's like, it just seems like it's always so timely. And I think I saw you specifically doing, I think it was some dumb TikTok influencer who was just like talking about like, you know, if you can just suppress your hunger long enough. And
it's Heidi Powell.
Do you remember? Okay, good. You remember.
I have 2 videos about her. I'm like pulling up my Instagram now because she's really toxic. Like, it's bad, really bad.
It's gross. Yeah. And so I was like listening to her and then, I was just like, oh my gosh. And I think Annie and I we talk about this, I feel like constantly, but it's so upsetting. It makes me so sad that these people, again, just have this influence over so many, and it's just this horrible mind stuff. So, yeah.
The problem with Heidi Powell is that in my latest video, she talks about like how you don't have integrity, and that's why you can't lose weight. People who can't lose weight don't have integrity. She makes things about a person's personality, about a person's values, and judges people. Like, what do you think about people who are in larger bodies than Heidi? Like, are they just like, do they just lack integrity if it's like a moral failing? And of course she probably does think that. And then the other video that I did with her in it is that she's like, here's how you suppress your hunger. And then she gives
that was the one. Yes.
It's just like, food. That's how you suppress your hunger. Your hunger is this from your body.
Like eating.
Yeah, like food is the best appetite suppressant. But it's so incredibly toxic when people come out and make food and eating into some measure of a person's morality and their integrity, and it makes people feel like shit. And the whole thing is also like, I'm seeing, and she's one of these people too, this tough love approach that never works. Research says it doesn't work. Shaming people into losing weight, it doesn't fucking work. And yet there are on TikTok in particular, there's all these like bros and like, fat shaming whoever's who have no qualifications. Right. And they're just like, you're fat and, you're a terrible person because of it. And you just need to buckle down and you need motivation. It's like, that doesn't work. It just it's compounding the problem. And it's actually it's so awful. Like, who would ever?
Super awful.
It's so awful. Yeah. And so these people are just so incredibly toxic, and the common denominator among them is that they're not qualified to be giving advice to anybody.
100%.
100%. Like, Heidi Powell has a history of an eating disorder. She's clearly engaging in disordered behaviors. Whether or not she wants to admit it on her Instagram. Like, why are people taking her seriously? Like, this is a person with a problem, and yet
she's got 500,000 followers. I mean, just on Instagram alone. Like, I don't understand how people buy it. I mean, why do people want to not eat?
because they
You know what I
want to
mean?
be
When we're proposing a solution of eating and potentially having weight loss, and you can eat things, you don't want to do that. You want to do the self-harm martyr route.
Yeah, because they're told that suffering is ideal when the end result is weight loss. That you get a gold star for water fasting for 3 or 4 days.
Oh yeah.
That you get a gold star for losing weight, no matter what the cost, physical, emotional, whatever. That's great. That is the message that we have received. And, as women, in particular, women now in middle age, we're getting that. It's like really problematic, but we all, as women, we've received that messaging since we were born, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying that men aren't affected by it. They are increasingly affected by it, but we are 3 women talking, and I just feel like, it's out of control, and people are, it's harmful, right?
It's super harmful.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, there's 2 things. We were talking before you had popped on too, and we were just both thinking, like, it's so toxic. Like, how can you stand? You know what I'm saying? Like, just like, oh my gosh, being so submerged in that, like, every day.
Someone posted something. I think it was James Coppola posted some woman. Oh, it's that carnivore woman with the yellow glasses. And she was like, look what they're selling in the grocery store. It's toxic food. And she's saying all of this stuff like she's bloviating her hot garbage bullshit while she's having a meal with people. And I wrote in the comments, like, can you imagine even being in the same room with this person, let alone sharing a meal with her when she's talking? Like, it's so disgusting. It's so off-putting. It's so like, she's like building herself up with disorder and shitting all over people who, are 99% and the 99% who can't afford grass-fed butter and organic beef and, all that stuff. It's elitist and disgusting, and it's just like there's that whole big problem. Like, it's a huge pervasive issue, and even it's not even, a lot of the time it's not even spoken, it's implied. Like, so we get it from all different angles.
You brought up a point before that, as women, we're affected so much by this, and men are too, but I think it's a little less. And I want to bring up a particular individual. Nicole and I have chatted about his books before, but David Goggins, I don't know if you're familiar with.
I've heard about him, but I have not. I don't even.
He doesn't get into nutrition necessarily, but he plays this like stay hard and be disciplined, and you are a waste of space unless you are disciplined enough to do it. And I think men in particular hear that messaging, right? And it's, again, it goes in line with this. If I guilt people, if I shame people, if I make them feel like they're less of a human, question their integrity and their morals because of food and exercise, now they will end up changing. And it's just so remarkable how people fall in line with that. And I'm curious, men or women, because I think we hear the same messaging with a slight twist, of course, depending on gender. But what kind of backlash do you get? Like, do you ever hear anything back from Heidi, or is she just like, whatever, I don't care about it?
She actually blocked me.
Yeah.
Really? Believe it. I was like, what? No, I don't hear back from any of them. Like Mark Hyman, Heidi, like Dave Asprey. They just block me. They don't care. It's probably not even them. It's probably their assistant.
Yeah.
But, but they don't actually want to hear other perspectives.
Oh, of course not. And even someone in my comments on the Heidi post said, I hope she watches this and makes like it changes her attitude. And I'm like, there's absolutely zero, there's like a negative chance that she's going to do that.
Yeah. And there's
you
no
know,
benefit to her. There's no benefit for
the
her
eating
to do
disorder
that.
is so
no
strong.
benefit whatsoever. Everyone's building her up.
Absolutely.
Surrounded by people like in this echo chamber who are like patting her on the back. Oh, you're so great. You're so, yeah, it's not going to
It's
happen.
gross.
No.
Again, it's so toxic and dysfunctional and distorted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How can you not know that you're living in your eating disorder when you've had that? Like, I mean, every eating disorder patient I've ever worked with, yes, there's probably an initial time where they're so like, no, this is normal.
Yeah.
Right.
And once they learn that this is an eating disorder, you know what's disordered at that point, whether you're
Yeah.
choosing to engage
I
in
think
it or
she
not.
just chooses not to acknowledge it because she's
Yeah.
making money from it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like,
It's
She has the
working
ability
for
to
her.
help
Mhm.
people and chooses not to.
Yeah.
right, because this is
Well,
working for her, right?
Right.
And it's sad. Like I feel she was like on a podcast on her, she has something recently on her feed that where she's on a podcast talking about eating disorders. And I'm like, what the hell? Like there's like
what?
either there's absolutely no insight whatsoever, which you know is possible, or
Possible.
you're just willfully ignoring it. Right. But either is
yeah.
bad. And it's bad for her, right? It's harmful, you know, regardless of the harm that these people are doing to others, there she is also struggling, clearly struggling. And as health professionals, we have to approach that from a like a side of compassion, right? And be like, you know what, this person is sick. They don't know what they're doing, or they're, you know, so deep into it that this is what we're getting. So yeah, we have to acknowledge it at least while we say, fuck her, you know, like this is so harmful. How could she do that?
Yeah.
Well, kudos to you for doing that, because I can't imagine the strain that it would put on so many people to, you know, look into these influencers and research them and to just kind of have that back and forth and, you know,
It's
let them
really
know.
like stressful, actually. You know, and you'll notice that like my Instagram, I'm not posting as much. I might post like twice a week. Well, I'm so busy right now. I'm writing a book proposal and I'm like rewriting and rebranding my entire course. And it's like was supposed to be out this week and I'm not finished. And my daughter plays competitive hockey and it's just like been a she plays for a team that's an hour away. So like
Oh, gosh.
for at least 4 times a week. I'm like, just like, oh my God. So, but the whole thing is like the Instagram videos, not only do they take a while to do, but it's also like, I sometimes just don't have the bandwidth to look. People send me all these things and I'm like, I can't even like my mental health. Like I can't fucking watch this because it's so bad. You know?
Well, and imagine, I mean, that's all the stuff that you're being sent. People are seeing not just one person, but like thousands of people. And that I think is the heartbreaking part is like, I mean, great. There's one person who realizes this is wrong. Let's send it over to, you know, get out on someone's social media who has a platform to do the right thing. But like people that just so many people are seeing it and it's unbelievable.
Like reading the comments on these posts, it's like, holy crap. Really disturbing. Really
well, it is disturbing, but there's a lot of sick people in our world, unfortunately. I mean, it's
like, I just think, you know, the messaging, it has become so messed up and our, there's no checks and balances. There's so much misinformation and anybody can go online and just say, like, look at who was speaking about food and nutrition in front of Congress. Julian Michaels, Mark Hyman, fucking Food Babe. What are these our experts now? Like we're in the post-truth era. That to me is so disturbing. That's one of the last things I saw last night before I put my phone on my bedside table and was like, I can't do this anymore. But that is the reality of the situation. And so we're getting all this horrible information from these so-called experts. And, you know, here we are.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you saw was it the New York Times that put out basically discrediting dietitians and, you know, I mean, it was like, I just sat there and was like, oh my God, like you have no idea the amount of work that we've done Like,
I know.
and what we actually do. Like, we're not lunch ladies. We're not telling people calories in, calories out. I mean, maybe there are some shitty dietitians out there, absolutely.
There's
But
always shitty
Yeah,
in
right.
every profession.
Right.
100%.
Are you talking about the one where they were like, it wasn't the Washington Post article about dietitians working with industry? It was the latest one with Mark Hyman, like did a
Yes.
rebut and
Yes.
about ultra processed foods and stuff.
Yes.
Like, God forbid dietitians should not vilify foods, and God forbid we should speak with nuance and with inclusivity around food and food.
Yeah, that we're like with the industry. We're with
automatically we're like being
big
paid,
industry,
which is so ridiculous, and it's so unfair.
It is. Is there anything wrong with Kraft? No, I have no stake in the game of what Kraft puts out there or whatever. If it's processed or not processed, it doesn't, like, I don't know if they think dietitians think of these things all the time and like are stakes at with these big companies, but like that's not how we operate.
And like no dietitian in the entire world is telling people to make ultra processed foods the mainstay of their
core.
Correct.
Right. Like, all we're saying is ultra processed foods can fit into a healthy diet. They're delicious, they're convenient, they're cost effective. You know, a lot of them are shelf stable, and it doesn't all have to be fucking salads and chicken breasts. You know, so, but I just noticed that like people go from 0 to 100 in 2 milliseconds. It's like either we're not eating any ultra processed food at all, or suddenly dietitians are like, yeah, it's okay to eat ultra processed food, but suddenly we're apparently recommending Pop-Tarts for like every meal. Like, no, that's not what's happening.
Right.
Like,
well, and people are misinterpreting too, right? Like, I mean, as sports dietitians, we may recommend a Pop-Tart in particular situations. If you have ulcerative colitis, we may recommend a Pop-Tart in certain situations. You know, like there's a time and a place for everything. If I don't want someone to binge at Halloween time, we're going to work on making sure we know how to eat candy.
Absolutely.
In a way that doesn't allow for binging, which means you're eating processed food or candy or sugar or carbs or however you want to vilify it.
Yeah, right. My daughter's going to drink the blue Gatorade before she gets in the net, because you know what? That's what she wants.
Just talked about that. We literally just recorded a pod on that.
Yeah. And the blue and the red are her favorite.
Yeah. And they don't cause autism. They don't cause ADHD. They don't.
Oh God.
Any of these weird claims.
They're highly functional. They're highly functional and supportive to a sport.
It's just.
I mean, and I spoke to her hockey team, and I'm like, yeah, Gatorade is actually the best.
Thank you. That's exactly.
Powerade and Gatorade are the only two that I would recommend for during the game, because they have carbs, right? And the right ratio. But people get all hung up, oh, you should make your own sports drink because, you know, la, la, la. And I'm just like, fuck off. Like, you know what? She's a competitive AA goalie. She doesn't get out of the net like for like an hour and a half. She's going to freaking take what she gets and what she likes and what helps her. Because like, that's it. And it just like people are so, they like drill it's like they pick on everything.
Everyone's a contrarian at this point, it seems like, in particular in the field of nutrition. It
gets clicks. That's all they care about. Like look at TikTok. There's these people who are like total idiots, but they have so many followers, and that's why, is because they like are contrarians, they're harsh, they are extreme, but they're addicted to that. They're addicted to the followers and the attention.
Do you notice? Do you notice with your high schoolers? Because I experienced this with my stepdaughter, who's now in college, with TikTok as it relates to nutrition. She would sometimes be like, "Oh, I saw, you know, blah 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 on TikTok. What do you think about that?" And like she would inquire, knowing I'm a dietitian, but like there was a level of disbelief of what I was saying.
Yes.
Because I wasn't on TikTok.
I don't get
you're
it.
so lucky.
Because my kids, like, I mean, I'm just, they know better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've raised them like first to not believe anything they see on social media, but also you know
Good.
what? It's like they know, they've just seen my example for their entire lives. So they know
Nice.
that, like, if they eat Nutella 3 meals a day, they're going to feel like shit and they should balance their meals. Do they ever like always do it? No, of course
No,
not.
they're kids.
Right.
God.
I
But
didn't either.
they know when people are talking shit.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they don't come to me and say, I think they don't watch a lot of nutrition content on TikTok because they know they get it
Yeah.
enough, because they're just
Right.
like, I'm the dietitian.
Right. Yeah, of course.
I know I need protein.
That's so great because teenagers are so impacted by TikTok.
Oh,
It's scary.
well,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not saying they're
terrible.
not impacted by it. I mean, they may be impacted by like the body image stuff. It's
Mhm.
just the nutrition part they're not. But I do worry about what they see on social media, and I do try to be like, this isn't real life. Like this person
Right.
has people are
But they
putting
can
filters
see
on.
it, therefore it is real life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but they see it every
Mhm.
day,
Right.
and it's scary. It's
Hmm.
really
Yeah.
there's an element where there's always going to be stuff that we can't control, so we need to just raise them the way we see best and hope that they get through it. Women too, like we see it
Yeah.
with older women, like again, like I'm talking a lot about midlife, menopause, perimenopause, because I'm that's what my book proposal is about, and that's what my
Mhm.
course is about. And it's like, and I am in menopause, I'm turning 52 in December.
Mm.
And it's like we are such targets, and we see these women, what I eat in a day, and oh, look at me, I'm 55 and I'm in a bikini. And it's like those images are burned into midlife women in midlife's brains, like
Mhm.
as ideal, and as if it's so achievable and so
Mhm.
simple, and it's actually so not. So
Mhm.
it's not only teens, it's actually adult women. And it's so eating disorders in midlife go
Hmm.
skyrocket,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
Because of this, your body's changing. You're like, what the hell? I don't recognize myself when I look in the
Yep.
mirror. Oh, but this person on TikTok or Instagram, she's older than me and she's had more kids than me. Why is she in a bikini and she weighs like 30 pounds less?
Hmm.
Oh,
It's
It's
so,
draining.
ladies,
yeah.
never ends. It just never ends.
It doesn't. It
No.
doesn't. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. So because we just kind of like blew right into the podcast because we're all angry,
Yeah.
I for those we're just like for those who may be new listeners for us, Abby, do you just want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. So my name is Abby Langer. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been a dietitian for 25 years. I'm based in Toronto, and my company is Abby Langer Nutrition. You can find me on Instagram at Langer Nutrition, on Facebook at Abby Langer Nutrition, um, and online at abbylangernutrition.com. I see one-to-one clients. I have a new upcoming course that you'll be able to find on my website. And yeah, and I'm just passionate about debunking nutrition myths, food equity, and yeah, taking down nutrition scammers, because
I
there are
love it.
just way too many.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely, definitely. And how do you honestly find time to like juggle all of
I
that?
don't,
You know what I mean? How do
I
you have
can't, like, I
capacity?
just don't take a day off. Like, it's so hard. Um, I don't know. And I have to work out and make and go grocery shop. Like, it's just
Yeah, you have to be a
crazy.
human. Yeah.
It's like I'm so lucky. For so long I worked for somebody else, and
Hmm.
in the end of 2017, I quit my job, like at the hospital or in the clinic, and then it's just I've never looked back,
Hmm.
because the quality of life is way better,
Good.
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
enjoy what I'm doing. It
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
stressful, but it's all mine, right?
Yep. I hear
It's great.
that.
That's
I
all.
hear
And
that.
that's what you knew, did Nicole. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That
I'm
is what
still
I
working for
do.
the man, so
Yeah.
But like I was commuting like 40 minutes each way. My kids were young. I was paying nannies to take care of them. I'm like,
Hard.
come
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So one of the other recent blogs that you did too, because we too are really tired of hearing about the seed oil crap.
on.
I know. So, and we did post that on our Facebook page too, also just to sort of like introduce and say, hey, you're coming back. But I just thought your blog was really timely because it's like, we all are hearing this stuff at the same time,
Yeah.
And so anyway, you did a great blog on it and you broke everything down so nicely. But do you want to talk about that a little bit more, or just should we all talk about that a little bit more? It's such a strange trend. I don't even know where it started coming from, to tell you the
seed oil,
truth.
like the anti-seed oil.
Yeah,
This is the seed oil thing is the perfect example of how something gets blown out of proportion and how people focus on the wrong thing. So seed oils, people say, well, they're really processed and it's industrial oil, lubricant, whatever. And, and when you take seed oils out of your diet, you become healthier. So that's like the crux of the matter. Like you shouldn't be eating them. They're inflammatory, whatever. But the research overwhelmingly says that when you replace saturated fats with polyunsaturated fats like seed oils, you have better health outcomes.
Yep. Right? All day long.
That's
all day long.
Also says that seed oils, polyunsaturated fats, are likely to be anti-inflammatory. So
absolutely.
What the hell? So okay. And what I say to people is, listen, like all of that is bullshit. The people who are telling you this don't understand the research. And when people nobody eats seed oils on their own. So nobody's going to drink a glass of canola oil.
Oh.
Where people get a lot of seed oils is in ultra processed food. So if you're taking seed oils out of your diet, you're going to probably stop eating a lot of ultra processed food as well. Crackers and like chips and all this stuff. And of course, your health markers are going to improve because you're not eating a lot of ultra processed food, right? And so, but people are mistaking that for the seed oil. Like, how are you actually pinpointing seed oils for this versus just like your overall diet quality, right?
Correct.
So if you take seed oils out of your diet, but this is the perfect example of how people just miss the point, right?
It's completely.
You're like pinpointing seed oils, but you're like taking out all this like fiber-free, like freaking refined shit out of your diet.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
So like people are choosing to learn, like, I guess what kills me is like, aren't we using oils based on smoke points and like what's an appropriate oil
so
for
say that
when we cook with them?
For like base, do you know what I mean? Like, I guess I never thought of oil as like, well, this one's healthier than this one. No, they all serve a purpose based on what you're doing.
That's how much oil are you eating?
I know.
Like in my pantry, I have olive oil, I have canola oil, I have butter, I have coconut oil, and I use all of them because a healthy diet has a variety of fats, with the exception of trans fats, of course. But your seed oils aren't rancid like when they're on the shelf. That is such bullshit. And the fact that people say, well, it becomes rancid when you cook with it. Well, unless you have an industrial fryer and you're
that's so bizarre.
Again and again and again and again, which basically nobody does at home.
No,
I would hope not.
I would hope
like a kernel of truth wrapped in all of this bullshit. And people are like, "Ooh, that sounds scientific. I think I'll believe it." And the more people who say it, and the more followers those people have, the more they're going to be.
Therefore, the belief is there.
I'm I mean, I know vegetable oil gets a really bad rap, and even canola oil before all of this can get a bad rap. And obviously we know palm oils are not necessarily great for other environmental reasons, but like, where canola, like these serve a purpose. I just, I'm still like, what are you cooking with then? Like, what are people choosing to cook with?
Avocado oil, and it's so expensive.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
So
so
go back
expensive.
to your elitist comment.
Right.
But it doesn't even matter. Like, I don't give a shit. I can afford avocado oil, but I don't buy it because I don't give a shit. I'm
Right.
gonna, first of all, canola oil is like Canadian, so I'm gonna
And
support my.
it's
You're gonna
so
be true.
And it's
versatile.
You're gonna represent.
awesome. And again, like, are you fucking deep frying every single thing that goes into your mouth?
Right.
Are you drinking a glass of canola oil? Are you like throwing it all over your food?
Right.
So, like, why are you so worried? You know, this is the thing, okay? If listeners, if you take only one thing from this podcast episode from me, let it be this. Get the fucking basics down first before you start picking at the little shit.
It's so true.
Do you eat enough fruit and vegetables? Do you eat enough whole grains? Are your meals protein and fiber rich? Are you eating too much sugar? Are you like so concerned about toxic seed oils, but you fucking drink alcohol, which is actually a toxin? Like,
right. Legitimately.
have the basics down. 9 out of 10 of us don't get enough fruits and vegetables.
Right.
And people don't have the basics down, but they're like diving into the minutia, you know, like, no.
Well, it's a way to avoid.
Right.
Of course.
Basics aren't sexy. There's nothing sexy about fiber. There's
Right.
nothing sexy about me telling you to eat an apple. There's something very sexy about me telling you to fast for 3 days and eat a keto diet for your menno belly.
Right.
Or instead of eating an avocado, you go and buy avocado oil, and now I get to say I can afford this, and I'm, you know, I eat this, and it's organic.
Oh, look at my Erewhon smoothie. You know, like you, like I'm not buying a $17 smoothie.
Oh my gosh, no.
You know, but it's like this culture of like, look what I can buy. It was the same with the celery juice, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Medical media, he totally invented the concept of cluster salt and all of this stuff. And the reason why people maybe felt better with celery juice is because they removed other shit from their diet.
Sure.
But which is the same as like the carnivore diet. It's like elimination, right? But it's not the celery juice. But people were bragging, I think, because celery juice was so expensive when they would buy it. And it's like a thing. It's a flex, right? It's not a fucking flex. You know why? Because this is not what wellness looks like. This isn't what it looks like. Health and wellness are the basics, not the fucking $30,
you know, the trend, whatever
came from, like, you know, the deep cold waters of Greenland, like that Mark Hyman tells you need to have, or whatever.
Right.
And like fistfuls of supplements. Oh, I don't eat processed food, but here's my protein powder. Here's my supplement.
Which is processed. Processed.
I am like on a right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad we got you going. Get it out, girl. I was wondering what you did for stress relief. Maybe this is one of them.
I have a Peloton treadmill and a bike, and I freaking use, well, actually not the bike so much anymore, but the treadmill I do use. I don't know how I would deal with stress if I couldn't exercise. You know?
Where are the other dietitians
agreed.
getting, you know, where are the other professionals in our field, and why aren't they getting upset at the A&D or
I agree.
And like,
hey, there's tons of dietitians who are pissed off at them, who are not renewing their memberships.
Well, not renewing their memberships or anything. And the A&D is sitting there like, well, I don't understand. And, you know, but I don't know, Abby, if you saw this or if you've done any more research on this. Nicole and I chit chat about this offline quite often, is the food is medicine rhetoric.
Good. See, good. We're all in agreement. Not the right wording.
I wrote
not the right wording.
I should republish it. It's called Food is Not Medicine, I think.
That's right. You're correct.
More blunt than that.
Correct. There's no other else to say.
Also, like, people are being convinced by certain influencers and doctors that they forgo conventional treatment in favor of alternative treatments, you know, and cancer is just the beginning. Like, you know, it's all the things, like, especially, you know what, people with mental health issues, like, you know, you don't need antidepressants, you just need to change your diet. Go fuck yourself.
Yes.
Because I can swear
you need an antidepressant.
Yes.
We clearly have been.
People can die. Like, that is, and oh, let me fix your trauma. Okay, you're not fucking qualified. Like, why, who are these people? Like, I mean, that's not necessarily a diet thing, but you know, like the anxiety and depression stuff, I call them out because, and it makes me so, I don't think anything really enrages me as much as that, besides the cancer people who are like, you can fix your cancer with your
Abby, I had a patient, and I work in behavioral health. I had a patient who was from New York who had horrific OCD and anxiety. And he had now come to our facility, but prior to, he was working with a doctor at the doctor's clinic, where in order to cure OCD, you become gluten-free, dairy-free. The guy's got a book. The guy's got like supplement lines. I was horrified.
Oh my God. I would, if you sent me something on Instagram, I would take him.
I'm gonna have to look again. I know we talked about this guy on a different podcast, Nicole, but I'm gonna have to go back and like.
You got to.
You didn't mention his name. Yeah.
I was horrified, and like to try to get this patient who now had a significant eating disorder because he's now eliminated, and his brain's not working because he's not eating half the things.
Well, medical medium tells people this too, right?
Right.
Drink a smoothie and you'll detox from your mythical heavy metals and your Epstein Barr and like, you know, cure your autism. Like, why are you doing this to parents? Why are you doing this?
Right.
No, you're taking advantage. I don't know how he is not in jail.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who should be in jail for this.
That's exactly right, though. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, it's horrifying what's out there. And the concept of our academy taking on the food is medicine, or it's either food is medicine or food as medicine.
Are they, so what's going on? See, I'm Canadian.
If you go to the Andy website, they now have literature on like how they are adapting the food is or as medicine like platform as one of like their promotional things that they're going to do, and it's turning up in classrooms for dietetic students, and they're coining it as this is prevention.
That's not prevention.
It's not prevention.
Medicine is for sickness.
Correct.
That's not preventative.
No.
Right.
But my problem too is that they've taken a slogan from a book from 10, 15 years ago, and we couldn't have come up with something else that fits and is actually for all people and isn't, you know what I mean? Like,
well, and here's the thing. So I just pulled it up, and it just says the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics defines food as medicine as a philosophy that uses food and nutrition to support health and wellness. Again, can't we find a different slogan for that?
The support is so vague.
But this is this huge movement that within our profession and other professionals who are not crazy, let's call it, and influencers and people who are not spewing misinformation, they are actually adapting this concept of food as medicine and really like, okay, this is great. And I'm like, oh my God. This is not great. This is
it's
so
not great at all.
No,
it's not great at all. And then we'll be called, you know, big pharma shills.
Yeah.
The most fucked up part about it is like all these people who reject conventional medicine and talk shit about, you know, big pharma and doctors and vaccines and all of the stuff. They'll be a lot. What are they going to do if they get cancer? What are they going to do if they need a doctor? They're going to go and be treated by the people they talked shit about, which I find so absolutely fucking disgusting. If you're going to talk shit about doctors, you know, then don't use a doctor when you need one. Then go do something else. Like, it's so, people are just, I don't know, they're so confused and angry, you know. I'm not angry here, but like, I'm angry about the angry people. At the end of the day, it's like super dangerous, that narrative about like, don't feed into big pharma and they just want to make money from you. Meanwhile, like the integrative people are making money off of.
Correct.
But
and you can't even use insurance for the integrative stuff.
Right.
It's awful. I'm glad we got that all out. That was a good one to get out for me,
Yeah.
at the very least. We've been avoiding having a podcast on food as medicine because I just can't. I don't know which direction I can go without just making it a very angry podcast.
I think
Well,
it's the verbiage, though.
it is the
Like,
verbiage. That's the
okay
whole
to say that
problem.
food supports medical care. Like, absolutely. If you have cancer, go for conventional treatment, not smoothies. But in addition, you know, the food part is important. Absolutely. But it's a matter of with and instead, or instead, right? And I think that's the verbiage here. It's like it's implying food as medicine is implying that instead of actual conventional medicine, you should be just
Eating
changing
blueberries and beets and things with color and fiber, and that's fiber does not fix your anything.
autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't fix it.
Right. Well, and there is, and again, I'm not going to call it out only because I don't know the precise name of this institute.
Yes.
I think it's in the Chicago area, but there is a terrible story of an example. Do you know what I'm talking about, Abby?
I know,
Because,
well, I know the institution most likely.
Okay, so the thing is that there was a situation, and this makes me incredibly angry for some other reasons. But there was a physician that was working with a gal, diagnosed her with cancer. This physician is also traditionally based and also functionally based, and she said, "Here are our options. However, I highly recommend that you go and you actually get treated at a real cancer facility. Like, we are not going to be able to like here's my limitation. This is where I can go. You actually need more." The individual chose not to take this person's advice, went and decided to spend $10,000 a day by eating food only to cure her cancer.
$10,000 a day?
For 3 days. They told her 3 days. The woman came back and she passed away 2 weeks later because she chose not to go and get actual care for her cancer.
I mean, at the end of the day, this person is an adult. They made their own decision, and that, it may have been a decision that we wouldn't do or agree with or whatever, but we have to let people make their own decisions. But they need to have all of the relevant information. Like, I don't know.
My point is that this is how big of this is a problem.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It's a big example of the amount of misinformation is out there. And that's why I told that story, just because it kind of pulls it all together of like, you guys, it is a problem. This is a problem.
Oh, it's a problem.
Let's stop believing this, whatever. I don't know what people are trying to reach for, but it's just ridiculous.
That's sad. That's because people are told that chemo is toxic, blah, blah, blah. But like, oh my God, it has to be toxic.
Correct.
Let it be toxic.
Right. Yeah. Do you know how many people's lives have been saved because of that? Like, what is wrong with people? I mean, I had a coworker whose best friend, their parents they didn't believe in chemo. Again, that whole toxic concept. I mean, he died at 25 because parents were like, nope, we're not, no treat. Nope. She's, she was on her parents' insurance and she passed,
were the parents upset after that?
Well, there was a religious belief in there as well. So it was kind of like an acceptance of like, well, it's okay because she's in a better place. And, so there was that coupled with this toxicity feature. And it was just like,
she's at 25.
Lived.
Yeah, at 25, are you not able to make that decision by yourself?
Now when I suppose if you're on your parents' insurance, it's, it's one of
those
tricky.
I would have just,
tricky.
Yeah.
Is chemo not covered by?
Nothing is covered. I mean, it is.
You need chemo. You don't have to pay for it. Like, you don't have to pay for most things here. Like, we pay through our taxes. Our taxes are huge, but like, I guess
which is wonderful.
I'm wondering, like, that's so sad. There must be a lot of people not getting necessary treatment because they can't pay for it.
There's a lot of people. I mean, I just had to work with a patient on his diet because he was defending his sister in a fight. And so he lost his teeth and he can't afford to see a dentist. So now he has no teeth and he's losing a ton of weight because he can't figure out how to, mechanically soft and, how to eat and all the things. And so mental health is derailed, and he can't afford a dentist.
Yeah,
Oh,
dental
gosh.
is not covered here in many cases, but we just instituted like a low-cost dental program. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a
It's so
total
different.
system, and a lot of I don't want to get into like political stuff, but it is.
Sure.
I've lived in the US and in Canada. I 100% believe that like Canadian stuff it's so
better.
good.
It's better. You can just say it. It's better.
It's so much better.
Yeah.
Like honestly, and people in the US don't understand. They're like, oh, Canadian, like there's huge wait times, and
Right.
people die waiting for. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Our major center is like, if I needed if I fell and had a like friggin' brain bleed, I'd be in surgery like today.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if I needed,
that'd have to be scheduled out.
I'd have to like,
Yeah, we have to schedule that out.
We have to schedule that out. Right.
We're gonna put you on ice. And then we're gonna
for it, right?
Yeah.
Like even when I had my kids, like I didn't like my whole pregnancy, everything was, I was a high risk pregnancy. I had like ultrasound after blood tests, like all of that. I had my kids 2 C-sections, but one for each one, and like I didn't see a bill. But in the US, that would have been great.
Oh, that would have been astronomical.
huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucks. And there's a lot of people without healthcare. So when you again, you take on this food as medicine as prevention, and you couple that with people who are low income and don't have healthcare, they grab onto it because they can't afford the medicine.
But I feel like a lot of that stuff is also for the worried well.
Yes.
I'm not sure that low income individuals are actually the target demographic for food as medicine. I think it's a lot like worried well 1%ers who can afford all of
they can afford medicine and food and everything.
All the things. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. They're coining it as it's for inner city communities, but I would agree with you.
That's such bullshit. That's such bullshit, because the food that they're recommending often is like
not
organic.
Obtainable.
Yeah, like all of the things that low income people, they just need to eat. I mean, any people besides like the top income, we're all struggling with groceries right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so expensive.
Yep. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Well, we covered a ton.
Yeah.
We were all over the board. But this was just great. This is so great, Abby. Thanks so much for being here. And I think we asked you this the last time. We ask all of our guests all the time. What's your favorite food right now?
Oh my God. What is my favorite food? My favorite food is probably coconut cake. I probably said that last time too.
That's awesome.
I love coconut, and I love coconut cake, and my birthday's
Do you order yours or do you make yours? Because I know there's a plate. Yeah.
Usually I'm in Florida for my birthday, so we get it at Publix.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay, cool. Just standard.
Publix is like the happiest place on earth. I love it.
That's great. I like that.
It's the greatest. But I usually buy it. I'm not going to make a coconut cake.
I think I did once, and I'll never do it again.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a ton of work.
One for my birthday, and it took her so long.
Terrible. I know. Yeah. So then when pretty cakes are really expensive, I'm like, yes, I will pay for that, because
that's fine. I might actually order one really important this year, because it's they started to deliver to Canada, and there's a couple coconut cakes on there that look amazing. So I think that's awesome. Going to be
very fun. Very fun. Well, thank you for sharing. So great. And we'll put all of your information into our show notes. So if people wish to reach out or follow, they can do that. So thanks again, Abby, for being here. We so appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys.
Bye.
Good to see you again.
Bye.
Have questions you want to hear discussed on the show? Find us on Facebook or visit betweentwopastries.com and drop us a line. Want to support the show? Find us on Patreon for exclusive content. If you love the show, find us on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a review.